Welcome back to the channel. We're going to go for this one. This is the Spectres of Communism. This is part of the Strategic Mind franchise that I'm covering in the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is Victor's Wargaming. I upload a lot of stuff that has to do with war games, real-time tactics, real-time strategy, grand strategy, and military sims. Welcome. If you would like to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it's completely free. You don't have to pay anything to do that. And if you so wish, you can go into my channel page, and you can participate in the membership. So here we have Strategic Mind. I have been covering this, and I have mentioned in previous videos something about the tutorial. The game has an in-game tutorial that you can access over here, and it has different parts divided in 5 parts: the basic training, supply and infrastructure, army management, transportation of troops, and combat mechanics. You have also naval combat and carrier operations and landing operations in the same shell menu over here. So let me go to new game.
World War I morphed into civil war. The newborn communist state had to defeat its enemies or die. The communists survived this deadly struggle, and the Soviet Union was able to raise its head among the nations. But that was far from the end of communist struggle. Repeated attempts were made to strangle the young country, many instigated or outright supported by the capitalist powers. In those years, the growth and modernization of the Red Army was the lifeblood of the Soviet Union's very survival. By the late 1930s, the Red Army had massively increased its theoretical combat power. But in reality, starting in 1937, communist purges turned against the Soviet military, and tens of thousands of leading officers were arrested and accused of disloyalty to the Soviet state, conspiracy, and even attempted coup. Despite flimsy or sometimes absolutely lacking evidence, thousands were executed. You take the role of Georgy Zhukov, a talented Russian officer who made it through the purges alive, but who now faces a future of unprecedented danger and difficulty. You must strike a precarious balance between Stalin's will and Soviet soldiers' lives. Above all else, you must ensure motherland's survival against all enemies. It is your duty to ensure that the Soviet people live to see another day. Good luck, comrade.
So, as always, this franchise has this welcoming screen in which you see the actual commander that you're going to be basically on the campaign. So you have this interesting screen in which if you move your mouse cursor, you can move the camera like this, doing this stuff, and you can see a 3D model of the character. It shows you a little bit of a description here of what is the faction, and for those that don't know, this game has different iterations that have been released in different dates, and each iteration covers one single faction in the majority of the cases, as you can see here, the USSR campaigns. And of course, you have the iteration of the United States of America, which is Fight for Freedom, which has the United Kingdom and the Americans campaign in the same title. So let's hit start game and let's go. We're going to be the Soviet general here, Georgy Zhukov, So let's begin. When you hit here, you see the difficulty selection, so you can go for storytelling. So if you have not played many wargames before and prefer to concentrate on the epochal events rather than on tactical nuances, this mode is for you, but we're going to go for reasonable. We're going to go challenging. You can see here how it changes in terms of enemy strength. It increases, and unsurmountable, it's like 120% enemy strength in comparison with 80%, which is the standard one. You can go custom and do your changes, and then you will have a different result. So we're going to go for reasonable, hit OK.
Comrade Rokossovsky, I have always considered you a very talented officer.
Thank you for your trust, Comrade Voroshilov.
Until recently, I was planning to promote you to ComCorps rank.
Why did you change your mind, Comrade Voroshilov?
Our ever-vigilant state security has uncovered some horrific facts about you, comrade.
You have been spying for both Japan and Poland. I have signed confessions from traitors to the state that prove it. Confess your crimes.
What is this nonsense? I served the Soviet Union faithfully and honorably.
You can lie to your cellmates, Rokossovsky. You are under arrest. The punishment for high treason is death. Rokossovsky, this is your last chance. Tell us who else was in on this conspiracy of yours.
I am innocent. I am not going to falsely accuse my comrades.
You have only to sign this confession to avoid the worst consequences. Well, if you are not with us, then you are against us. Let it be on your head. Ready? Aim! Fire!
Comrade Zhukov, I have always considered you a very talented officer.
Thank you, Comrade Voroshilov.
These are troublesome times. The motherland needs more such exemplary officers.
Unfortunately, Comrade Voroshilov, as we have seen, not all exemplary officers are truly loyal to the motherland.
Comrade Zhukov, the Japanese Imperial Army has suddenly invaded our ally, the Mongolian People's Republic. They started out with some border clashes, but now they are trying to grab territory.
It is our sacred duty to protect our socialist Mongol brothers. We must teach these Japanese militarists a harsh lesson.
Comrade Zhukov, I order you to travel to Mongolia at once. Inspect our troops there. Take over operational command if necessary.
It is an honor, Comrade Voroshilov.
Good luck, comrade. I will be waiting for some good news for a change.
I also will be waiting for reports of your diligent and loyal service to the motherland, Comrade Zhukov. Ready? Aim! Fire! You will sign the confession, Rokossovsky, or next time we shoot you for real.
Save your breath, comrade. I won't betray my fellow officers.
We shall see, comrade. Take him back to his cell.
Comrade Zhukov, several days ago the Japanese have invaded the Mongolian People's Republic. The Soviet Union has promised to defend her from any foreign aggression. Now the Red Army has been ordered to repel that treacherous attack. With a special order, Comrade Stalin has appointed you the commander of the 57th Special Rifle Corps. Your men are deployed in Mongolia.
Comrade People's Commissar for Defense, please brief me on the operational situation.
The Japanese are attacking from the puppet state Manchukuo. They have violated the Mongolian border and occupy the eastern bank of the Hulkin-Gol River, with the exception of a single bridgehead we have on the eastern riverbank. Fighting is severe, but our boys are holding. Thanks to that, we have a chance to organize a counteroffensive and throw the samurai out of Mongolia.
Do not forget, our bridgehead is under very serious pressure. Intelligence collected by my agents indicates that the Japanese have concentrated significant forces close to the supply depot of the 23rd Division. It looks like the Japanese are preparing for a decisive assault on our positions.
Thank you for the information, Comrade People's Commissar of State Security. In this case, I must call for reinforcements. At this moment, I am in desperate need of tank units.
The first reinforcements will arrive tomorrow. But for now, you will have to kill the enemy with the forces you have. Our bridgehead must remain in our hands at all costs. Remember, the best defense is a good offense. As soon as the opportunity arises, counterattack and eliminate the samurai threatening our bridgehead. Fight bravely and skillfully. Remember, you are fighting for our Soviet workers and for our great leader, Comrade Stalin.
Well, that was a pretty interesting introduction for the small mission that we're going to be enjoying here with the Soviets in these Mongolian plains. Over here we see the Japanese in the northeast, and they have been taken also this area called Bain-Tsagan. We have our Mongolian allies here. An interesting map because we have a river that crosses and separates the Mongolians from the Japanese here, or as the game says, the samurais. The primary objectives that we have is repel the Japanese attack. We have to kill 3 units and hold the Soviet army foothold that we have in here. To do that, we have these units down here, and also we can see that we have a minimap here. I'm going to talk about a little bit of what we have in here, but first I want to explain a little bit of the situation. I don't know why this game was not a success, because for me, that I have found this demos on Steam, I feel that this game is pretty interesting. Of course, this is not Panzer Corps 2, is not Hex of Steel either, but still, I think that the game is pretty nice. Now, eventually, I would say that perhaps by the fact that each of the factions involved in World War II, the major nations, were sold separately, I think that this could be the reason. I don't know why. I haven't done any research on what happened here, but if you go to SteamDB, you can see that this game has in actuality less than 10 players per day. That's pretty sad. So I just wanted to put that on the table as we continue here in this amazing map that we have here. But this time we're going to do things a little bit slower. So I've never stopped here to see the tiles and to show you what do we have here. This is a big river. Big river is a natural obstacle for any offensive. Only infantry units on foot can cross big rivers, that is, without crossing bridges, while all other land units have to look for bridges. While in a big river or on a bridge, units have severe combat penalties. Units in a big river receive a -4 penalty to all attacks and defense parameters. As you can see, it is not stated here, but it says that on foot all can move in this tile, in this hex, and also it says that it features close quarters. It's not a road, not a railway, line of fire, and combat penalty, yes, which is 4. Pretty big penalty for crossing rivers, and it is stated here only the infantry units can do that.
Your forces are comprised of both core and non-core units. Core unit strength indicator is green and round-shaped, and for non-core units it is yellow and hexagon-shaped. Non-core units are allocated for one mission only, while the core units will accompany you throughout the campaign. You will be able to level them up and provide them with new equipment. These units are the ones which should be under your primary protection.
Okay, we heard that, and there's also one thing that we can do here is to go here to the menu here and go to manual. And here in manual, you're going to find stuff like lethal damage, non-lethal damage, a little bit of a description here, which I find a little bit unclear because there's no images here that can support what is being explained in this part. However, it is nice to have this in-game because, as far as I know, you don't have this on the actual files. I haven't found any manual. I think it doesn't have any. So yeah, we have different stuff here for weather and terrain. Night, as I mentioned in previous videos about strategic mind, night is going to play an interesting factor here in terms of the mechanics. We have interesting mechanics about airfields that resemble plenty other war games that are out there. And yeah, I just wanted to show you how do you access this section. So let me go to settings, sound, and I'm going to decrease the music drastically. Okay, so here we have what is called the command points, which are used by the headquarters to carry out tactical and strategic tasks. Then you have here the prestige, which is a resource for acquisition of units. By the way, you can acquire units by middle scroll clicking the units that we have here. So I'm going to click the regular units. You can actually rename your units here, which is pretty nice. You have here the experience, and over here we have a small picture of the unit in question. So from all of my other videos concerning this title, I haven't done this I haven't checked the unit cards like in detail. I don't know too much. The only thing I know is what I have been experiencing myself in this playthroughs. But it's nice to have all of these parameters in this area in which we can see that, for example, this guy has a basic value of 6 and a +1 because of the mortars that they have in here. They have 50mm mortars that add this to the soft attack. Soft attack eventually is for, if you click here, you're going to see the description, but it's eventually for units that are not armored. So an attack value versus soft targets, which are unarmored an armored ground unit such as infantry or towed artillery units. When attacking a soft target, this value will be compared with a soft defense of the enemy, so on and so forth. So you can see as well, go a little bit deeper into this, just scratching the surface, you know. Let's try to find the soft defense here. You can see, which is completely different. It's represented with a crosshair in here, and here we have a shield eventually, which is the comprises the basic value plus rough defense from naval and ground unit attacks. When this unit is attacked by an enemy ground or naval unit, take into account that is not putting into the table the attacks from air units. The soft defense will be compared with the soft attack. So this is what is compared. So if the same unit attacks the same unit, we have the same number, right? And also we have air defense, which is completely different. So apart from the parameters here, which we have also hard attack, which we can see that it's very low. We have gun range, eventually, ammunition, and spotting range. Gun range is something interesting because a maximum range of attack in hexes. So if it says 1, it's 1 hex. 1 hex distance. Note that ships may have a different gun range for each of their guns. Also, ranged attacks at maximum range provide +4 defense for the enemy units due to long range, while attacks at lower range provide only +2 defense for the enemy. Stuff like that, you know? So we have here the symbol, equipment here, which is very interesting because you have slots here, and as you can see we have a truck. The truck means that we can move the unit very, very fast. So what I mean by this is that with a truck we have the possibility, let me click here.
Ammunition and fuel icons next to unit strength will allow you to quickly get important information about it. If the unit is still able to move during the current turn, the canister icon will be green. If it can no longer move, the icon will be gray. Likewise, the ammunition icon shows whether the unit has attacked this turn. If the unit is low on ammunition or fuel, the corresponding icon is yellow. It becomes red once the unit has run out of it completely.
So again, we have color code for each of the elements that are going to tell us if we have ammunition, if we have move. Gray is, as the information said, we have already moved. But if it's yellow, it means that we are about to deplete the fuel or the ammunition. And if it's red, as it was described in a few seconds ago, means that we don't have ammunition. We have also here unit information that is going to give us stuff like the unit's ammunition, the fuel, and the movement points that the unit has. Eventually, stuff like this.
Anti-tank artillery is effective against tanks and other hard targets. Your best tactic when using anti-tank artillery is to position it next to your other forces to provide them with fire support versus attacks from enemy tanks.
Okay, let me touch about this explanation a little bit, but I just wanted to show you that, for example, this one, it is an artillery piece that has 1 movement point, as you can see here. Now, I was about to explain what is this vehicle here. Just slight. This is just a superficial explanation, and this is because we're going to be moving through here, but with the actual truck here. If we take the truck away from here, if we discard the truck, then we're not going to be able to move. We have mines here as well.
Tanks are ideal for a rapid offensive in open terrain. However, they are vulnerable in close quarters to the infantry units in difficult terrain, such as cities, mountains, forests, swamps, shallows, and well-entrenched infantry units.
All of these troops, by the way, they have trucks. This one does not need a truck because it's actually a truck. So stuff like that is very interesting in wargames So I just wanted to point that out. A few things before starting for those that are completely new in here. Another thing that we have here in the equipment is this thing here, the subcaliber shell, which is prestige cost per attack. It's telling us that if we use that, we're going to deplete prestige here, but it's an expensive shell with a core from rare tungsten, significantly improving armor piercing capabilities, and it can only be used in guns with high initial projectile velocity. But we can change projectiles like that by clicking on the unit.
Crack some tin cans open.
And clicking on here. This means that we're going to be using that projectile. Then we have here what is called the traits. We have Overwatch Heart, which is, as the description said, if you place these guys next to other units, they're going to do a hit to an enemy unit that approaches in their line of sight. I think that we have some enemies here, some Japanese troops here, that are in front of us. So if this happens to attack this infantry unit, Japanese infantry regular unit happens to attack our regulars here, we're going to have support fire with this one. This one as well has, no, this one doesn't have. Some tanks have. Some others don't, but this one has fire support. Provides fire support versus ground units to allied forces within gun range. You can see that the range is 4, so we can see that the range is going to be 4 hexes in front of it, so it can clearly reach this. However, it is no line of sight. I'm interested in knowing why it doesn't have line of sight. Perhaps it is because of this hill. In here, you can see that it has line of sight.
Tank busters,
No,
armed
it
and
doesn't
ready.
have. So, it's because it has 2. So we cannot see it over there.
Artillery is the basis of the firepower of your forces. It can weaken enemy fortifications to allow your troops to attack without heavy losses. It is also good for defense, as it provides fire support to the ground units within its range. However, its main strength is its long firing range, which allows you to destroy the enemy troops from afar. Remember though, artillery is vulnerable to aircraft attacks and in close combat, so it needs to be protected.
Yeah, so because of that, it's clear because the soft defense is not so good. It's pretty much less than the defense that you get with infantry units. So I'm going to demonstrate that by having here 6 + 1 soft defense with the regular unit, and this artillery 122 millimeters is definitely having just a 5, being that less, of course. It is sluggish, because if this unit is attacked in close combat, then the attacker gains first strike, because eventually you cannot move the device, the weapon alone, the soldiers alone. As fire support, yes, howitzer fire when attacking 2 or more hexes away, a hinge fire passes through obstacles. Well, this means that we can attack this even though we don't have basically line of sight. Okay?
Guns cleaned and ready.
Tank busters standing by.
Heavy caliber has arrived.
You can
They'll learn to
clearly
fear us. Guns cleaned and ready.
Infantry is good for assaulting the enemy positions after the artillery and air bombardment. It is also the best unit for storming cities, mountains, forests, and well-entrenched positions. A well-entrenched infantry is a tough target for the enemy assault.
Now, it's also talking about entrenchment. So basically, entrenchment is the action of this unit not being moved, and the next turn it's going to be entrenched. So it's going to put some defenses, and they're going to be a little bit better protected for defensive situations. So again, we can see this one that says anti-tank support as well, which is a 45mm anti-tank, which is different from the other one. The other one is just a 122 artillery piece, but this one has armor piercing capabilities, as we have seen in
Whatever their
this
armor
thing.
is, it ain't thick enough.
This thing has incendiary shells, which is another thing. This is HE, with what is commonly known as HE, and it also costs prestige, a more efficient way to deal with soft targets, so it's going to explode instead of just shrapnel, and expand the small pieces of the bullet, of the projectile. Okay, so it also has suppressive fire, deals mostly non-lethal damage to ground units, and here is where I was about to talk about non-lethal and lethal damage. So, very quickly, going to the manual, non-lethal damage reduces the unit's strength at the same time increasing its damage count. That is non-lethal. Lethal, on the other hand, reduces the unit's strength without increasing its damage count. The other one does the other way around. So it's just depleting the strength. That's lethal, but the other one does damage here. Here we can see this, it is already the HQ unit. This means that inside this BT5, inside there's the commander. We have sappers squad, and we have a machine gun, typical machine gun for the Soviets. If you click,
Just point the gun towards the enemy.
if you go here, click here, you're going to see HQ tank BT, because we're talking about the tank or where the HQ is. You can reinforce, you can go to the equipment directly here, and also do aviation recon, which summons the reconnaissance aviation on the battlefield. You can also reach those options over here, so that's pretty nice to have
Punch
into
right
account.
through them.
We have one slot here in which we can choose in between this: additional ammunition, sapper squad that detect mines within spotting range of the unit, scout squad, the unit does not fall into ambushes, and also the subcaliber shell. Here we have that one, so we can put another one, I think. Cannot acquire more than one. Okay, we can't. Smoke grenade, interesting here. Upon activation, this unit cannot attack until the start of its next turn, but gains a large bonus to defense. It can be activated automatically if the unit receives damage that reduces it below 50% strength. Requires activation. Equipment can be activated in the command panel of the unit in the bottom right, so it's going to increase the soft defense and air defense just by throwing this smoke grenades. This one, for example, warm clothes, antifreeze, and other equipment for warfare in frosty weather. That is, if the weather changes to that, of course. This one, for example, increases the hard attack and soft attack and air defense. For example, hard attack for this one is 5 and 7. Soft attack is 5 and hard attack is 7. So eventually, if we go and we put this, the machine gun here, and we pay 15 to acquire this, then eventually we're going to have a better situation, which I think we're going to do. So we have paid prestige in here. So as it says, repel the Japanese attack. We have one Japanese attack, so we're going to start the situation here. We can see here that there is a potential contact over here. This is a very interesting stuff about the fog of war here that uses fog of war that resembles the same foe that you can find in games such as Combat Mission, which I really appreciate because not too many games uses that model of a foe. Most likely you're going to have the model of Age of Empires, something like that. But yeah. So we can see first that these guys have 6 and 2. And we have same 7 and 2. We have a little bit better for that, but we can add a flamethrower here. That this does damage to forts, coastal batteries, and other fortifications equal to the current unit strength, which is fantastic if you need to deal with those elements. Here we have hard attack and soft attack added, but we have Molotov, which is a cheap and effective anti-tank tool. We can add 82, which increases +2, and 50 millimeters +1 for the soft attack. Field Medics provides restoration outside of the supplied zone. By the way,
this unit has heavy equipment. Units with heavy equipment cannot move if they do not have ground transport. Additionally, they cannot board air transport and can only disembark from naval transport at a seaport.
by the way, that means that this cube here means that we are in supply that is being provided by the nearest section that is in our allies' possession, or our allies, for example, this depot of the First Army Group that is definitely being supplied by us, by the way. So all of these supplies
won't falter.
come from here. So you can see supply point. If I click here, you're going to be able to see that is basically this thing here. So you can see this is the supply point. All of the supply that we can see here is coming from here. And of course, yeah, this one is twofold. So it comes from here and goes from here. If I click here, it's the same thing. But we could get our supplies from here. Okay. You can see all of these striped lines. This means that we're not getting supplies from this area because of this unit over here. Then we have this tool, which is the actual place where we can reinforce.
Who needs better tanks when you're better at killing tanks?
Which is the HQ skills, which means reinforcement. You can do this if you are in that hexes that have that capabilities. Then we have airfields. Double click and you can see that this is our airfield here, which is pretty important for aircraft. And another supply hub that is coming from here, which is with our flag, not the Allied flag. Okay, I think that we are very, very well prepared right now to start this thing. So again, this one has the anti-tank support, provides fire support versus hard targets to allied forces within gun range. This is not a hard target.
Who needs better tanks
I
when you're
cannot
better at killing tanks?
I cannot attack because I don't have line of sight.
You
But
can
this one
hide, but you can't run from a shell.
has howitzer fire, which means that when attacking 2 or more less hexes away, we can go and pass through obstacles in rough and forest terrain. This is the rough terrain. This is the rough hex we can see here. Trying to select that.
Infantry, form up.
The one that is beneath those is the rough terrain. That's why.
Hope our folks back home are all right.
Now you can see that he's going to do 5 damage, right? In the upper right corner, you can see attack. 16 soft attack. And the regular has a 6 soft defense, 4 takeover, and 2 range defense modification. So it's a total of 12 and we have 16. And it gives us plus 10 strength because of the 122 millimeters. So it's going to do 2 lethal damage and 3 non-lethal damage. So you can see here the damage that is going to be done, and here it's going to be done lethal damage. 3 of this damage is going to be done. This guy is in takeover, which is additional 4 defense versus ranged and air attacks. They're being covered supposedly they are being covered by stuff that is on the hex. They have this thing, Revere the Emperor does not retreat or surrender. Non-lethal damage from each enemy attack is reduced by 1, which is a specific trait from the Japanese. They have also this thing that allows infantry to ignore 80% of hard targets' defense in case of close quarters combat. So these guys are pretty nasty against hard. And they can attack while in big rivers, which is pretty interesting. Pretty interesting stuff that we have found right now with this unit. So we're going to use
Just tell us the coordinates.
the 122 millimeter, and we're going to attack this guy.
Damage is indicated with the numbers above the unit being attacked. For ground and aircraft units, there are 2 types of damage, lethal and non-lethal. Both lethal and non-lethal damage decrease the unit's strength. However, non-lethal damage at the same time increases the number of units damaged, which can later be restored. Naval units always receive only lethal damage. However, they have multiple ship parts with their corresponding HP. Thus, damage against them is split. Ship parts except the hull are repaired over time by ship maintenance. Hull HP cannot be restored in any way during the operation.
So you can see that we did 5 damage, and for strength we did 4. Previous attacks, this unit has already been attacked 1 time, and it has a -1 penalty to all combat parameters until the end of the turn. So now, because they have been attacked, this thing has been reduced. It also functions if you have, for example, entrenchment, and it reduces the entrenchment as well. So again,
They'll learn to fear us.
I cannot attack right now. Now we can take this one.
Armed and ready.
Could move it here and try to attack it. But we're going to use this one.
Coming to our land.
As you can see, it's going to do 2 lethal damage.
Two, 3, fire! They'll regret coming to our land.
Now you can see here. And we can finish them
to move out.
with this one. Can still add a little bit more with the 82, I think. It's going to be fantastic. So we can do much more damage here, as you can see, 4 now.
For the motherland!
So they have surrendered.
Ready to kill some imperialists.
Good. They don't surrender, apparently. So now, what we can do
armor is, it ain't thick enough.
is to continue moving, but I don't think I'm going to do that.
Franzaviki, attention.
By the way, this thing is embarkation, so we can go for train If we are in a place where there's railroad, we can go for airplane, and we can go for embark ships. So I think we're good here. These are mines for the enemy.
Ready to crack some tin cans open.
Could try to move this guy here.
Relocating.
And this is how it moves. So then we will have... There's no gun range in here, but it's just easy target. During transportation, the unit becomes an easy target. This means that we have become this truck instead of what we are actually. So we're going to end the turn and see what happens. Oh, there you go. What is that? Interesting unit here. It's just a... Ooh, look at that. There we go.
Your
Overwatch there.
reinforcements, Comrade Zhukov, as requested. I kept my word. Now it's up to you to see this operation through.
Thank you, Comrade People's Commissar for Defense. This gives me enough to kick those samurai in the teeth like they deserve. Their units probably haven't had time to dig in. On these open plains, our tanks will make short work of them.
Oh, good. We have right now more BT. This time we have BT7 instead of the BT5. We have 6 and even 9 against hard targets. Look at the comparison here. 8. So, what happened here
Tank gun ready for duty.
is that this Type 97 Jiha, this is the tank, it has a very, very high soft target, and it approached from here. It approached from here. What is this? What's the name here? Depot of the 23rd Infantry Division. It approached from here. This thing was in Overwatch. Now it's entrenched. You can see this unit has 1 level of entrenchment and it gains +1 to all defenses, which is fantastic. Let's remember this guy is also sitting in here where you can see the tool. So this means that I can use HQ skills to get the 3, perhaps 2 or 1. That is the 3 that are left from the strength to replenish or reinforce it. Now,
You have selected an entrenched unit. When a ground unit finishes its turn while still being able to move, it gains 1 level of entrenchment. The unit can have up to 6 levels of entrenchment. Each level of entrenchment increases all defenses by 1. The unit loses all levels of entrenchment when it moves. Naval and aircraft units cannot gain entrenchment. Each attack against an entrenched unit reduces the entrenchment level by 1.
look at this one, for example. This is the intelligence one, which is it has scouting here. And it has interrogation, gathers intelligence data when enemy surrenders, 10% chance to gather intelligence data during each attack. Each unit is completely different.
Guns
so
of
you
the
can
Soviet Union.
You can try to destroy that. Now you can see as well that if I choose this one,
You can hide, but you can't run from a shell.
you can see that 2 double question marks in the attack. This means that if we attack here, the attack is going to be reduced because we don't know exactly what this is. We're not completely sure on what we're attacking, but we can use here the command points
Motherland's armor.
to do the aviation recon. But it's going to be a waste because, well, actually we can do this. Show you here.
Verifying the enemy's location.
We're going to verify if there's something here. There is. And there is another one here. It's pretty neat. Okay. So, we need to deal with this. Okay. So we were going to
Ready
use...
to crack some tin cans open.
We can do 2-2, but if we do the subcaliber shell, I think we could do more.
Tank crew awaiting orders.
What's your command?
Guns cleaned and ready.
Okay, let's try to do this one. Against the tank is going to be much better. This is for soft targets. It's not going to do anything against this one. It could make a little bit here, a little bit more. I'm going to do this one.
Fire from the sky.
Okay. So,
We fight together, we die together.
try to do
We'll
this.
make them pay.
We fight together, we die together.
Okay, let's do that.
Adjusting sights.
Great.
Whatever their armor is, it ain't thick enough. Fire! Phew, we drove them off.
Okay, now this one is demoralized, as you can see, because of the strength. So I can go and attack
Ready
this
to kill some
finally.
imperialists. Another notch.
Just going to block this guy
Move.
here.
I've seen babushkas run faster.
Now, we
Tank
cannot,
reporting for duty.
you see here, we cannot
Ready
reinforce
to
here.
roll all over them.
Cannot reinforce here. Instead, we know now
Hope our folks back home
what
are
is
all right.
this. We have destroyed 2 units, so we need to destroy 1 more, which is this one. What is he doing? Okay, so
Shells are running low.
let's remember this helps to attack this thing. Let's just do that. This is a hard target.
Finally, load her up.
This unit has run out of ammunition. Move it within the supply zone to resupply it. Supply zone is marked with a white box symbol in the upper corner of each hexagon while the unit is selected.
And as you can see,
We've got nothing to pound them with.
this unit, because they don't have more ammunition, it needs to be moved in here, because if I try to resupply here, it's not going
Orders
to work.
received. Moving.
That's for the next turn.
Tank busters standing by.
Okay, so line of sight here. So I'm
We
going to
fight
hit this one
together,
here.
we die together. 2, 3, fire!
Tank busters.
Do we
armed
have
and
line
ready.
of sight here? I think. Doesn't make any difference here.
Fire!
We've repelled the Japanese attack on our bridgehead. We hammered those capitalist samurai.
Comrades, now is not the time to celebrate. My agents say the Japanese have now crossed the Halkan Goal near the Bain Saigon mountain. They are digging in there. The samurai can strike at your rear at any moment.
Zhukov, just crush them with our mighty tanks and be done with it.
We can't just throw our tanks at the Japs. The samurai will burn them. First, we need to soften up their infantry with attacks from the air. Then we should send in the tanks, but only with the support of our own infantry.
You are far too timid for a cavalry commander. You underestimate the bravery of the workers and peasants' Red Army. Have you forgotten how we smashed the White Guards in the Civil War with nothing but cold steel and rifles? But do as you wish. I hope the units you have will be enough to storm Bain Saigon.
Pretty interesting.
What is your order?
We have now more troops. We have planes. We have fighters, I-16s. Oh, basically we have 1. We have the Antonov 40. This one is a bomber.
Tactical bombers are flying artillery and a great tool for wreaking havoc on any enemy troops, although you have to be careful of the anti-aircraft units overwatch and fire support. It is better to scout the enemy positions before sending in bombers. Do not leave your tactical bombers without protection. Remember, they are a prime target for enemy fighter planes.
Flying like a bird. Wish my and Pa could see this.
And this one is a fighter, as I mentioned before. It has night. During the nighttime, all units receive 66% attack penalty, and spotting range is reduced, just because right now it's night and it's stated here. We have also I think this is the
extremely
reconnaissance unit.
important in an offensive, since it provides you with full intelligence information regarding the presence of enemy forces, thus making your attack more effective. A reconnaissance unit can move several times per turn, as long as it has move points left. Once the reconnaissance unit notices the enemy, it automatically stops and they can move again. If an enemy surrenders to your reconnaissance unit, it gains full information about all the enemy units nearby.
Okay, so we will have to go into the mountains here to take these guys down. And just move, oh, actually this one, I think this is the best one.
Tankbusters, armed and ready.
We can, because we're here, we can resupply and use thatting for the reinforcement here. Great. And we have lost the ability to move just because of that. Another thing that I want to check here is, for example, this unit. This unit has interrogation and scouting, allows the unit to move again as long as it has movement points left. Then it can move through the enemy zone of control without losing all movement points, however. It still has to spend one additional movement point per each enemy unit which has that hex in this zone of control. Spotting range, basic value is 4, but because it's night, we're losing 66% of that. Hopefully you're finding this interesting. This was Victor. See you in the next one.